welcome to the Crack a Can talk show. Today we're actually doing something a bit different. This isn't an interview, this is actually a new series we're starting. It's going to be semi-regular uploads and it's called Crack On. Today we're going to be introducing the new team. We've actually not met these two yet, but they have been involved in Crack a Can from the inception of it, so I wanted to get them on camera so you can meet them, and then when they do their interviews, you're all up to date with who they are. So why don't you introduce yourselves?
Hello, I'm Kristin. I am one of the hosts of Crack a Can, although I've not been on screen yet, so this is very strange for me. But I have been handling a lot of the social media and kind of internal communications and kind of back of house things lately. So yeah, that's kind of what I've been up to with Crack a Can up until now.
Yeah, and I am Andrew. I was again behind the scenes. A lot of the graphic stuff you'll see is what I'm putting towards it, as well as being a host, of course, which again you've not seen as yet. But yeah, aside from that, back when it was at the start of this, Ross messaged me, and it was basically along the lines of, "You like talking to people, don't you?" And I was like, "Yes, I do," and here we are.
Slid into your DMs about 3 a.m. You like talking to people, don't you?
Definitely very sober.
Yeah.
Very sober.
Yeah, it was totally sober, of course. Which, I mean, of course, none of us have drank heavily over lockdown.
No, of course not. Why would we?
Obviously.
Well, this is all non-alcoholic beers we're drinking.
Well, on the subject of beers, I guess we should open with, which is always the first question for the interviews, is what you're both drinking.
Yeah, so I've got a bit of a confession. I am using this very selfishly to learn how to like beers and cans. I'm not great at drinking those things. No. So I have Electric Boogaloo, which is from Tiny Rebel, which I believe is like a Northern Irish alcohol brewing company. It has got passion fruit in it. It is hazy and pale, but I picked it because it's
right. These words you don't know.
Coloured. It is. I know these words. These are words that I super know about. It's got like a little cool beer on it as well. So that's what I'm drinking.
I also have a confession. And, you're not going to like it. Straight out of the Jamaican side of things.
You motherfucker.
Jamaica's finest red stripe.
I don't want
premium lager.
Why do you hate red stripe? What's the problem?
It reminds me of sick. It's like, I'm fine with Terence, right? Because it's water from the Clyde, and I know the Clyde. This is water from the Kingston River. Who wants that? Who? Nah.
Well, what are you drinking then? Like Mr.
I'm drinking Tin Man, we all love the Wizard of Oz, Tropical IPA from William Bros, because I'm keeping it Scottish when I'm on this show. I've never had this, but I've drank quite a few of their beers on this show, and they've all been dynamite. And it's like two guys from Falkirk. I
like how you two have the very, the exotic stuff, and then there's just me with a red stripe.
So I see what this is like.
Wrap up my game, shall we?
It smells good.
So I thought this show would be a good chance to introduce both of you and what you have been doing and what you're up to. Like, obviously we haven't got any of your interviews out yet, but we are working on them. I've just been hogging all the upload times at the minute. But it's been interesting because obviously we're all different people, so we're all going to have different interview styles as well. Like, there's stuff that you're going to be doing separately. Like, do you have ideas of how you will be different from the other two of us?
All right, yeah. I suppose at the moment, and we did discuss this, we're very localized to the music scene, the kind of events, just from the people that we know. I definitely think it'd be interesting once we branch out from that, to go down, looking at how. See, it's difficult to think because all we know is like people who's in the nightlife, the entertainment industries, but just to see how far we can take that, push boundaries, shall we say. And honestly, I'm really hoping to get, like, I think my prime goal, and I'm going to start the Twitter campaign now, hashtag get Nicola I can. I think that's the goal.
Big Nicky Sturgeon, I'd love that life.
Could you imagine if she was on this, man? That'd be unreal.
It
Just
would be.
Nicola Stevens shouting out different tiers.
But I do think, oh my God.
Fuck it, East Kilbride, tier 1. Like,
I do think that, like, we need to think big, don't we? Like, I think right now the internet is so saturated, and sometimes that can be quite daunting, because you're like, well, why should I do a video if 10 people are going to watch it when there's channels that have millions and millions of subscribers? But for me, I think there's something really freeing about being a nobody in the YouTube scene. I think it means that you can just have fun with it and purely do it for like relaxed reasons, and like go, do you know what, if this takes off, that's great. But like not having that be your priority, I think, is just so lovely and refreshing. Because when you are nobody, you know, you can do anything. If you get steaming in a club and no one knows who you are, you get off scot-free. Like no one, you have no sins, like nobody knows. So yeah, that anonymity I think is quite exciting. Yeah, so like I think it might be a good idea for just today, like when we were like chatting about this episode, maybe just like explaining to people where this came about. Like I feel we, like, people know you, for example, like everyone knows that you've been interviewing, but I'm not too sure that they know that you kind of came up with this whole concept. So do you want to talk about like where that came from? Yeah. Not to put you on the spot or anything.
I think initially I wanted Crackaghan to be a radio show. That was my initial idea. And then I started working at a radio station, but I couldn't get it to like line up, because with Ofcom stuff, like you can't swear and there's like limits to what you can do. You can't really promote alcohol and stuff like that. So when that kind of happened, I put it on the back burner for like maybe a year or two. And then we were on holiday and we were in Copenhagen and we were just walking around New Haven, and I just had a can with me. I was like, I'm just going to crack this can. And I actually said that out loud to you. And I was like, nah, I don't want to give up on that idea because I really like it. And then it's just like from like watching YouTube and stuff, like I really liked Hot Ones and I really liked What Culture and I liked Open Goal, the football podcast. I was like, but they're like so different. I was like, but what if they were like all together? So it's kind of like, you know, the Scottishness of Open Goal, but the questions of Hot Ones. And then just the kind of knowing each other of What Culture. So I wanted to kind of meld all my favourite YouTube channels together and make it like one place where we can hang out. It's like an excuse to like drink with my friends, and you know, like I love talking to people, but I'm not the chattiest person unless I've had a drink. So now I've got an excuse to drink cans during the day on camera. So it kind of worked out well for me in that way as well. My main worry was time, but then when lockdown hit, and it was, you know, when the first lockdown hit and it was actually still nice outside, we were sitting outside talking about it. That was the first time I'd really spoke about it to someone. Yeah. So I was talking to you about it, and then I was like, I can't do this myself and you do interviews for your work. So I said to you about it. And then generally that was the same day I messaged Andrew. I was like, who else do I know who just loves to talk shit to people? I was like, Andrew's the first person I thought of. So
talk shit, Andrew. Andrew's the first person.
So I just mailed you in the middle of the night, like, you like talking to folk? Do you want to?
You know the funny thing is,
it's just an idea right now. ...
See, when you sent me that message, I'm pretty sure I was like mid Zoom call with, you know, my other friends, with a can in my hand. I was like, well, if this doesn't marry up well, I don't know what does.
If this isn't a sign.
You could have messaged me anything at that point. I would like, fuck yeah, I'll do it.
Turtle racing.
But no, I'm always thankful that you did send that message, and obviously look at us now, man. Like you've done, you know, fantastic interviews so far. Like we've got so much scope. I think would be the word. And moving ahead. And
again, all three of us is very similar circumstances in that we used this time to kind of further ideas that we had. Which I think has been like what you were saying with like the art. Like I think 2020 has been a complete write-off. And the way the arts have been treated has been awful, but there's been more great art in terms of like music and stuff this year than there has been like in a long time. Like I'd say 2020 is the best year for new music since, I know it doesn't sound that long ago, but I think 2016 was a very strong year for me, and I think this is the best year since then comfortably, and it might even be better. Like my top 5 albums this year would probably be my number 1 album any other year. Like I think this year has been so strong artistically, both for games and for music, and obviously I think the only one that's kind of really suffered is film, really. But even TV's been great, but films really obviously had to struggle because they can't do box office. But I think that's been maybe the one saving grace of 2020 has been like all this incredible stuff that's come out has kind of helped me through it all. I don't know if you would agree with that or
what has been like your favorite album? We'll start with favorite album of 2020.
So my number one album this year's Brave Faces Everyone by a band called Spanish Love Songs. It's their second album, and they're a kind of emo Midwest emo band. But like their album came out in January, so they're on one tour supporting the Men Singers, and then since then their entire album campaign has had to be online. So they've done like Patreon, and they do like covers every month and stuff like that. But I feel like that's been really fun to watch how bands have adapted 2020 circumstances to their albums. Like I have no idea how a band like Code Orange have made a global pandemic feel like part of their ad campaign. It feels like something they've intentionally done.
Yeah.
Just to be like, look how much better we are than all of you.
I love their album. Like their album came out this year as well, and it was just.
Their album came out the week before lockdown.
Really?
The second week in March.
It feels just like, I mean, it feels so appropriate, I think, like having like that album come out and kind of almost speak for the year that we ended up having. But like I totally agree with you in terms of how this year's been in terms of music. I think like Creeper with Sex, Death and the Infinite Void, like I was totally not expecting that album to be what it turned out to be, and I loved it anyway, which made me really happy. And I think we all need to shout out Tay Swift and Folklore.
Folklore is out.
Phenomenal.
I've still not watched the Disney Plus thing yet, but like obviously you've already mentioned, Andrew, you DJ in like a kind of pop place. Like even pop music has had a really strong year, I think. Like the Swift album was great, the Dua Lipa album was brilliant.
Oh, it's been
I've
there's been
listened to it.
It's really good.
I'm sorry.
There's been some really good like pop stuff come out this year as well. What about you, Andrew? What have you been listening to this year?
Well, as we all know, my
here we go. Don't say his name, man.
Varied taste. But Little Mix Confetti is one of the best albums that's come out in 2020.
Yes! Oh my god!
I thought we were going to talk about your Spotify Wrapped for a second there, and I was scared as to who your number one was.
Did you not see it? Ross.
I've seen it. Unfortunately,
Ross and I have a long-standing argument that he's not a big fan of Jerry Cinnamon. I make up for that because I
like him either.
And every time I post it on like my Insta story or something, I'll just get the angry react. That's all I do. It's got to be fun. Same with the Red Stripe. I just do it for the reaction. It's just fun.
You just do it for the drama. Do it for the gram.
That's an interesting question for you. Here's a wee topical one.
Here we go.
Okay.
I think it was in the past couple of days, Forbes have announced that Machine Gun Kelly and Miley Cyrus are the 2020 faces of rock, and so many metal elitists are going, no, I don't like that. But I'm sitting there, listen, they're both fantastic. I've said fantastic a lot. It's a good word. But yeah, if you look at Miley Cyrus, her cover of Zombie, the Cranberries, was amazing.
The cover she's been doing at Whiskey
cover,
full stop,
the Blondie one was unreal.
Like I've always thought Miley Cyrus, like right back from Hannah Montana days, had a banging voice, and she's got a voice that is like born for rock. And I think you're so right. Like I think metal elitist is exactly what you should call it. Like I don't think people realize that like these things lead to entry, like entry bands. Like they're things that people will pick up on and they'll go, oh, like who is that? And then it'll lead them down this rabbit hole that then brings them so much more deeper into our world. But I don't also think that our world should have boundaries. We shouldn't like put a wall around it either. You know, I grew up on Green Day and I grew up on like all these kind of bands that now in 2020, if you were to be like, I love Green Day, people would be like, really? But like they sent you into this path where like I still remember my friend like having a little Samsung phone and like showing me Tears Don't Fall and like in like the alcove of my high school and just being like, listen to this song, like this is so cool. And I was like, oh wow, this is amazing.
It's like that.
But it's entry, like
it's that like thing. Like, no one's favourite first band is the Black Dahlia Murder. Do you know what I mean? Like, you have to work yourself up to this sort of thing. And I think Miley Cyrus is a really good one.
Mhm.
Like, I feel like there's two sides to her coin, whereas I feel like she got a lot of praise and got quite respected for the Chris Cornell tribute. She did she did a Highway song with Audio Slave and showed up everyone. Like, she was unreal. But then she brought out her rock album, was it last week or the week before? And it's not really a rock album. Like, I would have liked to seen it a bit more like off the hinges a bit. Like, it's very calculated, and then she does the covers and they're all amazing, but the original stuff is so, like, you know when John Feldman produces something and you know what it's going to sound like? It's like that, like, it's very held back.
Yeah, it's very
and,
boxed
yeah,
in.
Whereas I would have liked her to be like let off the leash a bit more.
I think her grand conclusion is that just fucking like the music you like.
Yeah, exactly. Like, don't question. You know what? Be glad that there's other people at the gig. Don't give a fuck about what they're wearing.
Exactly.
Lots of support.
If your obscure Norwegian black metal band becomes huge overnight and wins 2 Grammys, that is great for them. That doesn't mean they then sell out. That doesn't mean that you are no longer the edgelord that you want to be. Well, it does mean that. But, like, you know, it's like that's like what you want. Like, you want your favourite things to become everyone's favourite thing, because then it's bigger and there's more accessibility with it. Like, don't hide your gems. Like,
not every band can like sign to a major label and do the whole gallows, like, okay, give me all of your money, please, and then show up to red carpet events, giving every camera the finger so they can't use any photos, and then walking into the event with a swagger, knowing they've just been given 6 figures by Sony.
Yeah,
like
it's a next level of just have a brass neck, basically, just like having the balls to do that.
Yeah, I think that coming full circle, like, that's kind of what we're doing, isn't it? Like, we're just going, we're going to do a thing. If you like it, great. Like, if you don't like it, like, we're kind of not interested. Like, we're genuinely just wanting to make some fun content with our friends and just see where it goes and see. And I think we were talking earlier, you know, it's not just going to be interviews. It's going to be like chats like this. It's going to be reviews. It's going to be, there's so much that I think we can really go for. So it's good.
Definitely, I think the thing I'm most looking forward to, and that's a question to pose to yourselves as well, like what you're most excited about this thing. I'm saying this thing purely because we don't know what else this could span into.
Yeah, I think the thing that we can really take from all of this is just 2020 has been hell for everybody. The fact that we've even survived it is a privilege in and of itself. But there are some really exciting things that have happened this year that, you know, we can look to, and hopefully that means that next year is just going to bring something even more exciting. I know for me, like, this whole thing that we've started excites me, and I think starting in 2020 is one thing, but I think what's going to happen in 2021 is just going to be even more exciting and fun for us. So yeah, I think it's like what we're going to do.
John,
there's the thumbnail. Yeah, I completely agree. Like, 2020 has had a lot of awful things, but there has been things that have made it worth it. Like we're saying, like arts and games and the Zoom quizzes with your pals, like all of that. Like, I feel like a lot of people have come together, and there's lessons to be had from all of this. And we've obviously started all of this, so thank you to all of you for watching and for subscribing. And you've been really active on our Facebook and our Instagram and stuff, so we really appreciate it. Like I said at the start of the video, we're going to try and do this semi-regularly, maybe every couple of weeks. Just the 3 of us get together, just have a bit of a chat. So this is episode 1 of what we're calling Crack On, and I'll see you next time for an interview.
Tell us in the comments what you've been up to in 2020.
Yes.
Tell us what
the highlight of 2020.
The highlight of 2020. While you're down there, subscribe as well.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you all next time. And goodbye.
Bye.